Use SVG images in Delphi. Modernize your UIs. Hello, I'm Patrick Premartin, MVP Embarcadero writer, editor, freelance developer and trainer. Also Twitch streamer. You have my bio links and contact information on vasur.fr/gravatar. Agenda. Why using vector graphics in your programs? Why SVG? Some techniques for using SVG images in Delphi, and of course an introduction and conclusion. With the introduction of Skia and Skia for Delphi pre-installed since version 12 Athens and the community edition updates this summer, I thought it important to remind you that you can replace bitmaps with vectors in all your Delphi projects when you grad them. Of course, this may take some time depending on the project and the number of images used. But it's up to you to decide whether you'd prefer to do it gradually now or as a matter of urgency in 5 to 10 years' time. Why using vector graphics in your programs? Bitmap images have a fixed size. Scaling is complicated to manage without degrading the image. This change of scale is a reality. Simply activate the screen zoom or let the software automatically adapt to the resolution of your user's screens. Images, icons, and all the user interface can become blurred, droll, or have ugly outlines in certain circumstances. Looks are an important factor in software appreciation. It should be taken into account. This is one of the reasons for the success of restyling many software programs, in addition to adapting them to the operating system theme to improve the life and view of your users. Unlike bitmap images, vector images are drawn in proportion to their display size, ideally in physical pixels rather than logical pixels. They are always impeccable, provided they are not too detailed and displayed at a too small size. Interface icons can be replaced in Delphi by vector images in both VCL and FireMonkey. Why SVG? SVG files are based on the scalable vector graphics specifications published by the W3C in 2001. This format is open, in plain text, described in XML, freely generatable and usable, unlike other proprietary formats like Adobe Illustrator. You have a link to Wikipedia on the bottom of the page to see what is SVG and how to use it. Like many things related to the web, something start out simple can quickly become complicated. There are several versions of SVG. Skia doesn't support SCSS integrated version, but there is no need to worry about mixing shapes, curves, and vector paths. If you are exporting files from Adobe Illustrator, set the export to format attributes instead of internal CSS or embedded style. This problem should not arise with Inkscape or Affinity. The SVG format is available in most vector graphics software. Many sites offer vector image banks available in SVG. There is no reason to use any other format for your software, especially now that it's almost natively supported in Delphi. If you are using an older version of Delphi and can't yet upgrade to a newer version, you have other options. I made a review of what exists in January 2020. It's available in French on my blog. It's easily translated by your browsers. The link is on the side. Some techniques for using SVG images in Delphi. With that out of the way, let's get down to the nitty-gritty of code and components. First one, TSVG icon image list from ETHEA. a descendant of tcustom image list, an SVG file container that can use SCIA, image 32, and other implementations, works like a image list. This component is available in GitHub and get it. You just have to install it from Getit or go to the GitHub repository at this address and download it. And after that, install the package. You have an install help on the repository. In this sample, I installed it as a submodule on my repository and installed the package. The package includes two components, an icon image component and an icon image list component. The icon image list is a tcustom list descendant. You can use it in your VCL and FireMonkey applications with every component using the image list classic. The SVG icon image is a component where you can show an SVG file. In this sample, I used an SVG icon image list. I loaded a lot of SVG files. You have them on the repository in the asset folder. It's a Creative Commons license. You have the classic properties like the width and the height of the image list. In this case, I added buttons on the bottom of the page with an icon on each one. The icon is of course connected to the icon image list. I added the style book to have a dark style, to have a better contrast. Let me start the program. Here it is. I have icons on my buttons. It's of course SVG images, and you can change the image from the image list. In my case, the image list has a size, and of course it depends on where you use it. I change it in the program, and the other information and code is simple. First, the buttons are linked to first, last, previous and next methods, where I only change the index of the image on the screen. It's a glyph because I am in a FireMonkey project, which is linked to the image list component and has an image index classic. The second sample is a component for a FireMonkey project, the tpath. We have more than one class named tpath in FireMonkey and the RTL. It comes from fmx.graphics unit. This sample is here. I have a tpath component from the shape category of components here. This component has a property data, where you have a data field. If you want to change the value, you have to set data here by code or use a wizard. I did the same thing in this project than the previous one, but I used other icons. In the first one, I filled the image list with files, which are stored in the DFM. In the second sample, I used a class generated by Sean Roselt. You'll have the links with the PDF. And it's bootstrap icons, where we have 4,000 icons in the file. This file is used in my program here, and I simply use the get bootstrap icon pass data to get the pass part of the SVG files. Here is the SVG source, where you can find a pass tag. You have just to copy that in the tpass data property to show it. It's what I do. To go previous, next, and other one, I check the array length. In this case, it's a const. And here we have the icons from Bootstrap. The tpass components don't show SVG images. Other thing, like in every component in FireMonkey, you can click on the tpass, but only filled parts of the pass are clicked. If I click in the inner circle, nothing happens. If I click on the orange part or black, the on-click of the tpass will be raised. Next sample the TSK-SVG component from SCIA for Delphi to display an SVG on screen. When you install SCIA for Delphi or use the Delphi 12 Athens version of Delphi or C++ Builder, you have SCIA for Delphi installed by default. You only have to activate it on your project here. If you do this, you can use SCIA components which are prefixed by TSK something, and you find some of them. A label with multi-styles for the text, paintbox, animated paintbox, and animated image. In my case, I use a TSK-SVG component. This component is in client alignment, and I have the same buttons on the bottom of the form in a T-grid panel layout. In this sample, I used another icon list from Sean Roselt too. It's the U feather icons, another open source library. And the code is the same as previous, except that I don't fill a tpass data, but a TSK-SVG source property, with the entire code of the SVG, not only a part of it. In this case, I can show the original colors of the image and parts. Let's move on to some code to support things not available in current implementations. For game, I needed to change the display size proportion and add some margin in the image itself. So I created some units and a tool. This tool is the SVG folder to Delphi unit, which allow you to get all SVG in a folder to create an array in a Delphi unit. The program is very simple. One button. You choose the folder where you have the images, like this one. You select it. It creates a unit So you have to specify the name of the unit. In my case, I have already created it, and you click Save. It generates the units. I created 3 samples with this. Let me show you one of them. In the repository, you'll have assets folder with 2 KNL selection of SVG and 1 from Pictogrammers. Pictogrammers is a website which name was materialdesignicons.com in the past. In my case, I didn't generate the images, the unit in the folder, but in the sample folder for the program. Here. Yep. I have 1 unit per folder. And the content of the unit in simple, we have const with the ID of the image in the list, so you can use the name of the file instead of its ID. Very useful if you regenerate the unit. You have an enumeration with the name and the same value, of course, and a class if you want to access it with a type instead of name or other things. If you want to use help code insight, it's better to use a class. Finally, you have an array, not a const in my case, but an array. I think I'll change in the future, but it will be transparent for existing code. The program generates all this code. You only have to use it. And to use it, we can use a unit I put in Developer Pascal libraries repository on GitHub, this one, where we have in src source folder unit olf skia svg to bitmap.path. This unit has a class and a function you can use independently. The class uses the function here. If you use the function, you get a bitmap from an SVG by using Skia. You need Skia for in a VCL or FMX projects, so activate it in your project. But you get a bitmap and it's calculated each time you call it. If you use the class, you have to register your SVG in the class with the add item method and simply use bitmap or bitmap without with no cache if you want to get a bitmap. Here are some samples. The first one, SVG to bitmap. I only use the function. It's the same look, but of course not the same code. I use an image and I fill the bitmap of the image. To do this, I have the first, last, previous and next procedure like in the previous case. I added an index and a count properties to my class because I work with an array. And I didn't want to check the values each time, so I fill the pass count one time. No, not in this sample, but I store the index to work easily. So the first, next, and other things change only the pass index between 0 and pass count. This one, and when I change the index with the property, the writer show the image. So I get a bitmap from the SVG to bitmap function of my class, my unit, here. I give the size in integer and the source SVG. Bitmap scale in FireMonkey, nothing in the VCL, and margins. I show a sample with margins just after that. This generates a bitmap. You have to put it in the image bitmap on your screen with assign or another solution. And in my case, SVG to bitmap regenerate a new bitmap each time, so I have to free it. The SVG to bitmap is a simple function which calculates the size of the final image with or without the bitmap scale and call scadraw on the bitmap I've created with a good size, which is a method given by Skia for Delphi to create an image from a SVG source. And after that, I add the margins and change some things depending on if I am on VCL or FireMonkey projects. So, just use it to have a bitmap from an SVG with a good size, the good resolution, and sometimes margins around the generated image. By default, an SVG is centered in the container. I execute the program. We have pipes from a game I created previous in Julie. And that's all. With the next sample, I use the margins to show the same SVG images, but with a good place for them. So, let's go in the program, or to the program. I added a flow layout here to add images on the screen side by side. An image here is only there to get the bitmap scale of the screen. We have other solutions to do this, but it's a simpler one, so I use it. And two buttons, with or without margins. I show you the result and we'll see the code just after that. Without margins, I have pipes, SVG images centered but fit in the container. So each image by 32 or 64 pixels for each side is drawn in the image. Of course, if you have icons on buttons, it's okay. If you have images which have to fit or connect to other images, you have to draw the good size. I use the good size for each image. I added margins to fix that. In the same code, but for each image, I know what is the margin I have to apply, and it's calculated by the function I show you. I use the puzzle assets file generated by SVG folder to Delphi unit. The same unit for converting bitmap to SVG, SVG to bitmap, and it's with the margin without margins. The without margins here is the same code than previous one, except I create an image each time I have an image to an SVG in the array. In previous sample, I change the image on the screen. Here, I add an image each time. So I create an instance for an image, I put it in the flow layout, specify the size. It's a square, so the same size for the height and the width, and I generate a bitmap with the same code than previous one. It's okay if the image don't have to connect to each other. In my case, I need to change the position of some pipes, some SVG in the same square array. So I added margins like that. It's the same code except this part. I set the default margin to 0, the default value, and calculate for each pipe the the margin for top, left, right, and bottom to apply before drawing the picture. When I call SVG to bitmap, I add the margin in percent. Values are between 1 and 100. And in SVG to bitmap, I calculate the size of each part. First step is to calculate the width and the height we have to use for the SVG. So I apply a calcul to the needed width and height, and I only have the container, the real size of the SVG. If I have a margin here, in this case, I get, in the two cases, I generate the bitmap from the SVG, but with a good size, with or without margins. If I have no margin, I return the bitmap. If I have a margin, I create a new bitmap, inside which I draw the bitmap from the SVG. So I have an empty bitmap, I copy the SVG bitmap in it, and it's this one which is returned. Of course, I have a code for SVG, for FireMonkey and VCL, because the bitmaps are not the same component, and the size and width are not are integer in one case and singles in the other. Next step is to use the bitmap in something like a list, like a image list. I created a class where I store the source code of SVG I want to use and show it in this sample. Here I add puzzle assets, input prompts, or pictogrammers icons. Of course, for the pipes, I use the with margin properties. For the code, in the unit, I use the free units generated by the program from SVG folders, and I register the arrays in the list managed by the TOLF SVG bitmap list in the same unit as in previous. Sample here. The add item has more than one implementation. I can specify a list number and give the SVG for one SVG or the array, or the SVG or a list and the array. If I want to create a new list, I need to add a list which gives us the ID of the list. In my case, I register all arrays in the same list, the default one. It has to be done only once for each program. And in the startup, of course, because I need the list and SVG when I show them. And to show the content, for example, with the input prompt, I simply use the tsvg input prompt, which is the class I generated for the input prompt SVG files, where I have a count property and an SVG property function and an SVG function which returns the SVG source. I generate a new image and I get a bitmap from the list with a good size and a good ID with bitmap scale and other things. In this case, the bitmap is with a cache, so it returns only a reference to the stored bitmap. You don't have to free it. Just assign it, you get a copy, and it works fine. If you free it, you'll have access violation during closing the program. The second button with the pictogrammers is the same, except I use the pictogrammers list instead of the tsvg input prompt list. And in the third case, I add the margins and use the same method, bitmap, with the same parameters, but added the margins parameters. I have two samples as bonuses where I create an animation from SVG images, like we do with the bitmap list animation, which is available in FireMonkey. The bitmap animation allows us to change the bitmap or its parent component, and the bitmap list animation can use a spreadsheet to change automatically images in a bitmap. I created something inspired by that. In my case, I had images from Adobe stock with coins on them and wanted to rotate them. The images were available in Adobe stock. I only exported the SVG files from each part of the images, generated the source with my program, and created a T-frame with the animation. This frame is classic. I have the frame, a timer to change the images, and an image as client. In this sample, I have a gold, argent, and bronze images, three different. So I added a type to choose which one I want to show. This sample is not available because Adobe stock images are licensed and don't allow to be shared, to share them as it. I can't share it on GitHub with the SVG files, so I didn't share this sample and created another one just after. I have a coin ID. It's the index of the image, the frame in the animation. Auto reverse allow to change, like in a float animation component. if you know them in FireMonkey. If you don't know them, look at them, it's very useful. Duration of the animation in seconds. Inverse, to have the animation in one direction and the other. And loop, like in float animation component. My coin type. I know if it started or not. I repaint the coin and I start or stop the animation. When I execute the program, we can stop or start the animation, use auto reverse, or use inverse if I want. Of course, I can change the duration. It's funny, 2 hours of code to generate that. 2 hours of coding to generate that. It's relatively simple to code this. I can share the source code without the SVG if you want to show it. Just ask me for the sample. You have another sample which I share on Delphi FMX game snippets repository, where I used Kenny NL animation for person to walk on screen. For this sample, I used the same T-frame and adapted it. This source code can be shared because Kenny allows sharing its game assets. So I generated a file with 8 frames of the animation. I used the previous T-frame and adapted it for this content, and changed, removed the coin type, and changed the constants in by the count and other things from the new SVG list. Except that it's the same code, and for the main form, you have only a switch to start and stop the animation. This timer is the timer from the frame. If I add two person, I can, because it's a T-frame. And we can use this. We can use this in games or real programs. I don't want to say games are not real programs, but you can use it, of course, with other bitmaps or other SVG in your real project to show parts. Needed fields or other things in your user interface. This code works in FMX, and you can adapt it to VCL because it's only images and SCIA to generate the bitmap. That's all for the samples. As we have just seen, Delphi and the open source community offer classic solutions to display vector images in form design, but we can also do whatever we want with code. SCIA also offers to open other images as standard format transparently in the usual display component like WebP, animated WebP, Lottie, and other formats. It's very useful. You can use it in VCL and FireMonkey project. Look at it. And look at the presentations Jim Makis and Ian Barker did available on Embarcadero YouTube channel. It's very interesting about this library. Here are some links to the presentation and the source. The first one is to get the samples. I let you copy them if you want. Here are the images, Kenny, for some of the game assets. Pictogrammers, which has a lot of SVG icons available for free with an open license, and the repositories from Sean Roselt with numerous icons available in GitHub. Here are some use of these components, libraries, and others in my games. The two last ones, Sporglow and Plumetris. Just to show you Plumetris, if I can start it. It's a Tetris with pipes. Of course, available for free from my GitHub account and to download if you want from itch.io or gamewolf.fr website. You have also a link to Gamewolf FMX Game Starter Kit, which I presented last week. I wish you all the best for your user interface makeover. Good luck for this amount of work. Thank you for your attention. See you soon. And bye-bye.
Oh, love it. Patrick is a... he's an incredibly talented developer, and he's a streamer, and we're going to show you some of the other things he does as well, but he's taking a chance and joining us live in this studio. And so I get to say in person, Salut Patrick!
Guten Abend!
Ça va?
Hello Jan! Hello.
Okay, so we go back to English, I think. So you had lots of really great comments from people, and someone saying, "Oh, I love his accent." I don't know whether they're joking, but as you said, thanks. My legendary accent won't be the same for tomorrow's sessions. Yeah. I say this about people because we have Brazilians on, and we have Mexicans, and I don't know how people keep up with me if English is not their first language, because I think it was you that said once that when you watch Jim and myself talk together, it is your English lessons. Was it you that said? Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, it's because Jim and I both talk quite quickly, I think, and it can be difficult for people to
it's a good training, because when we show TV series, it's not the same, even in English.
No, well, my daughter studied Korean at university. Yeah, that's a hard language. She did go on to do art instead, so I think her brain melted. But my wife likes K-drama, which is Korean. It's soap opera kind of stuff, and love stories and stuff. But even though it's available in English, she watches it in Korean with English subtitles. So I don't know. I guess hearing it spoken out loud helps you understand the emotion in someone's voice instead of a thing. So yeah, it's really good. Pete Rios, he's a fan. He said the awesome session so far. He loved what you did, and Gustavo was trying very hard to get you to go to Brazil.
Which is, but not this year.
Yeah, it's a long flight. I know, because I'm going on September the 5th, and even for me from the United States is like 13 hours, I think, my outgoing flight or something. So it's almost as bad as me going to France or Amsterdam. It was, kind of a long distance, but yeah, he wants you to take a vacation, so that's good. And people asked about your examples. which I did put some links up. If you go to Patrick on GitHub, there's lots of examples there. And also, this is a sign of the kind of guy you are. You can also, if you like Twitch, go and follow Patrick on Twitch. But even more than that, no, that's not enough to have just those websites. Mm-hmm. He also runs the Delphi Books website as well.
Yeah, with a lot of change before the end of month.
Okay, all right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's pretty incredible. And in fact, what I'm going to do is just share my screen because I want people to see some of the things that you get up to, because you do a lot. I'm just going to hide us for a second. I think I can do that somehow. Yeah, let me see. I think we can do it this way. Woo! There you go. So it's kind of cool, isn't it? So this is the Delphi Books website. For those of you that don't know about it, Patrick works very hard on this. Although he would say not, but I know you put a lot of effort into this. That's right, isn't it? And basically, if there's a Delphi book out there, Patrick has probably included it on this site. Absolutely everything. And not only, is it full of content for Delphi developers, and you really should scan that barcode or go to delphi-books.com, which you can see here. But it's not just that you've put the content on there, but it looks really great as well. I mean, what a great design with the covers. I think it's one of the better sites I've seen for books anywhere, not just Delphi Books.
Well, thanks. It was a template, but yes, a good template.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's a template, but even so, you can make it look good. And of course, there he is. He looks very much like he does now, without the crazy owls in the background. He was explaining why he has those. It's to do with green screens. But this is his GitHub. And then, of course, if you want to, if you're a Twitch fan, and I really suggest that you do, I've deliberately remained logged out, otherwise things start auto-playing when I'm logged in. But this is Patrick's Twitch website as well, his Twitch stream. You stream in French, but you're streaming Delphi code. That's right, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I try English sessions after tomorrow talk.
Right.
Because what I show about gaming and creating games needs some English explanation after that. And I try to code.
I watch it when you're speaking French, and I have it on in the background, and it's fine by me because I can understand it. So, but I know not everybody speaks French. But I always say this: it doesn't matter what human language people speak. When they see the code, it will still make sense, because apart from the variable names, which usually are in the developer's language, the actual code itself is universal. A class is a class in any language, and using the IDE, the shortcuts, even if the IDE comes up in French, you can still understand what's happening. So, I think that's really worth mentioning, and you do a really good job of it. I'm very, we wanted you to be the Spirit of Delphi award winner, and when I discussed it with my colleagues at Embarcadero, because there were program managers and people like that get involved in having a vote, everybody said yes. Everyone was, oh, brilliant choice, yes. So well done. You really have made an impact. You represent what an MVP is about. I really mean this. I think I've said this to you in person as well, but an MVP is someone who genuinely likes the programming language, and I know you like Delphi because you use it all the time. But also that is a champion and tries to go out of their way to educate people on the benefits of the language, and you really do that. I know this session today was about SVGs, but this is only one of the many times I've seen you coding and doing things in code to explain to people. And I think it's really good of you. I really appreciate what you do. I'm not just saying that. We've met in person and we've sat and had lunch together and things like that. And I consider us friends. And I think that it's not just that. I think sometimes it's important to catch someone doing something right, and you're doing things right. You're doing it the right way, and we really appreciate it. Embarcadero as a company appreciate your efforts.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's good. Now, I didn't know about that. What did you call it? Plumtrix, was it?
Plumtrix, yes.
Yeah, I didn't know
Plum
about
for
that game.
plumber and Tris for Tetris.
Yeah, so Tetrix for plumbers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was very interesting. I hope that people go along and take a look at that game, because it shows some kind of innovative ideas to manipulate SVGs, because I'm guessing when people press the key, does it flip the SVG or something like that? Or yeah. So you rotate.
It's a trick. We have the whole rotation.
Okay, so you're orientating it. Yeah,
but we can rotate the bitmaps in FireMonkey. It's easy with the rotation property.
Yeah, of course there's an orientation, and yeah, so what you're saying is you rotate them and the orientation. So yeah, okay, well, hey, it works. I mean, it's like a lot of these games. I remember that I read, I think it was Steve Jobs's biography, and in there, Walter Isaacson, who wrote it, talks about Steve Jobs' early days, apart from when he was a child. I mean, his early days as a programmer, and he worked on Breakout. I think it was Breakout, and it was pretty much the same. That it wasn't anything complicated, but the result was good. And sometimes it's not just about doing clever trickery, but actually being able to do something straightforward but well. And I think your code demonstrates that put together some techniques and some knowledge, and you get a good game out of it.
I try to do simple things with some effects.
Yeah, well, you do, and I'm not just saying this. I mean it. You do, and every time, everybody who is on this webinar now, because most of the people that are around at the moment, there's quite a few, but a lot of these people are what we call frequent flyers. So they're like people that are quite often at our webinars and turn up, and the names, you recognize people like Pete Rios and all the others, but they will know that you're always there in the comments, answering the comments. Now, I want you to tell the truth. I haven't asked you to do that, have I?
I confirm.
I've never asked you to do it. You just do it. You go ahead and you volunteer, and I'm sure it's fun as well. You get a lot of interaction with people. But again, that's just an example of the kind of guy you are. So you should be pleased with yourself.
But like for Twitch, if I do this, it's because I enjoy.
Yeah.
Even if I don't have many viewers, but it's funny.
Well, we're going to try and do something about that. So, but I think as well that I don't think people understand as well how much there are very few people that would do live coding on streams. Jim will do it, I will do it, and Bruno from TMS prefers to do it live. But a lot of people don't go ahead and do that. They don't want to code live because they don't want to look silly and make a mistake. But actually, Jim said something yesterday. Sometimes making a mistake on a live stream and then fixing it is education in itself, because real programmers don't always get it right. And if you make a mistake and it shows an error, it's good to be able to go, oh, that wasn't working. So Einstein 8854, let's show that comment on the screen. He says, have you seen the eyes of the bird in screen of Patrick Premartin? Oh, I didn't notice that. They've got Delphi logos in them.
Of course.
Yeah,
Delphi background.
Yeah, I didn't see that before. That's very cool. Yeah, Einstein. Einstein 8854, or we'll just call him Einstein, I think, or her. I don't actually. I'm assuming it's a guy, but you don't know. But always at these webinars and always coming along and saying hi to us and interacting. And I think you're like me. I like doing the webinars because I want people to learn about Rad Studio, but also because I do find it fun as well. It's nice to interact with people. It's nice to get people like you on and talk to as well and things like that as well. Excellent. Okay. Well, are there any final things you would like to say, or have you covered everything?
Except see you tomorrow. No.
Oh yes. What's your session tomorrow? I nearly
Make
forgot
games in
about that.
Delphi.
Yes, tomorrow at
Alors,
11
just a
a.m.
spoiler.
Central Time. So that is
The second session, I think.
Sorry?
It's the
Second session.
yes.
Yes, second session. So that's 4 p.m. Central European Time, I think, or something like that. Sorry, UTC actually. But it will be 5 p.m. UK time, British Summer Time, and 11 a.m. US Central Time. But we'll make absolute certain everybody knows. We've had a few sessions about gaming, and it's good to see you've got one as well. So you'll be back tomorrow. Are you going to do a live chat tomorrow as well, or are you going to go? No, I'm not going to do it.
We can. If you have questions, it will be a pleasure.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, well, let's do that. Definitely. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to call it a day then. That way you get. It's like 7 p.m. your time, isn't it?
For me, it's 9 p.m. Yeah.
Oh, 9 p.m.
France is,
it's an hour for it, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're in a different region.
Summertime.
I guess. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know. For the UK, it's 8 o'clock in the evening.
Yes.
So, and for me, it's 2 p.m. So it's easy with me. Okay. Well, thank you again. Merci always for everything you do, and I'll say à tout à l'heure.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Yeah, and speak to you soon. Thanks a lot, Patrick. Bye-bye.